Welcome to Women Inspired. I'm your host, Linda Ugelow. And on this show, I talk with women and a few cool dudes, all of them entrepreneurs, change makers, healers, and artists, about what it takes to put their dreams into action. And today I have as my guest, Liz Sacco. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you.
What I love about what you are doing is that you saw a need for a product that you couldn't find, and you thought, I'm just going to go create it.
That's exactly right.
Tell me about how that happened.
Sure.
Tell us about your product and how it came to be.
Sure. So in 2011, my oldest son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And kind of through the course of adjusting our life, what I realized was there's this missing component in his testing routine. So anybody that's familiar with diabetes realize that they have to test their blood sugars multiple times in a given day. And what I found myself was always handing my son either a Kleenex or a paper towel, something to remove the excess blood when he was done testing. And lots of times, of course, I wasn't there. So what I found was he, just as a result, would wipe it on his clothes or the inside of his case, being a typical young, active boy, right? So I had laundry covered in blood spots. And I thought to myself, well, there has to be a convenient solution or product in the market that serves this purpose. So sure enough, I went out and there wasn't. I could completely visualize it in my head. I knew exactly what I was looking for, and I went to multiple stores and they looked at me kind of with a blank stare, like, we don't have a product that serves that need. I went online, I researched it, and lo and behold, there wasn't a product for this purpose, and that gave me the opportunity to go ahead and develop it.
Wow. So it's the kind of usage that you wouldn't want to use a bandage or gauze or something that wouldn't serve the same purpose.
So the gauze would, the Band-Aid, it's typically just a small amount of blood that's left, and then once it's wiped away, it isn't, continuing bleeding, so a Band-Aid really isn't that necessary. The gauze would work, but what I found was I didn't have gauze in my house, or they're very loose. So what would happen is, for example, what I tried was even putting a Kleenex in his case, but what would happen is ultimately he would just discard it after one use, which was very wasteful, or if he kept it in, it would just be a blood-soaked tissue. So that's, the purpose of our product is that you simply tear it off with each test, and then it disposes it with the test strip. So it's a simple removal and a simple disposal.
Wow. Wow. So how did you go about creating the product? How do you even begin doing something like that?
Well, it's funny because it was, as I mentioned, it was very clear in my head. I knew exactly, I could see it. So I think that was the kind of the first step, is the conception stage. Is okay, I know what I'm looking for. So I kind of made a homemade prototype. I did go down the road of a patent. So I thought, before I kind of start this adventure, I would like to see if there is a product out there that I'm just missing. So I went ahead and we did the search and we filed for the patent. And while that was pending, then I went ahead and tried to do my own type of prototype. And I looked at different companies. I searched out various manufacturers until I found one. I was lucky enough to find one, and they helped me kind of, do the whole process of development.
Wow. So you worked in partnership with them too. You said, this is what I'm looking for, and they said, okay, we can do this.
That's exactly right. I sat down with them. I kind of had my homemade prototype so they could get the idea, as far as what I was looking for the product to do. And then what they did is they went back to their resources and their manufacturing capabilities, and then they would send me a few prototypes. We probably had 3 or 4 prototypes until we got the actual product where I thought, okay, this is exactly what I was looking for, and it functions the way I want it to function, and then we went into production.
Wow. And so did you just, in your research, did you just find this one manufacturer, or did you try out having conversations with more than one?
I had plenty of manufacturers.
Really?
I would say that was probably one of my biggest challenges. And even in hindsight looking, now that I've even have the business up and running, the manufacturing side was probably a huge hurdle that I had to overcome. I've made calls upon calls upon calls, and people were telling me it wasn't, they didn't have the capabilities, this product wasn't going to be able to be made. So I did a lot of research. So yes, at the manufacturing side of it, to find, as I said, a manufacturer that had the ability to create this product, was certainly one of my biggest hurdles. But sure enough, persistence, it pays off. Eventually,
you really
I wanted it. I said, well, where there's a will, there's a way. Isn't that what they say? When there's a will, there's a way. And sure enough, I ended up finding one, so it was great.
That's fantastic. So were there any times during that process of calling that you felt really discouraged?
Well, of course you're discouraged. I mean, nobody likes to hear no, or it can't be done, or impossible, all of that. But I think that when you're very determined and you have that passion and you're ignited with that energy, I used to tell myself, we put a man on the moon. We put a man on the moon. Now, if we can put a man on the moon, I can find a manufacturer that create this product. And that was kind of always in the back of my head every time I would call and they would tell me, we're not able to do this for you, or kind of, those closed doors that I kept running into. That little voice in the back of my head just kept me, pushing along.
That's fantastic. I mean, what's so clear is that it really takes a particular mindset to be undeterred.
Absolutely.
And that, okay, that door, it wasn't in that door, let's try the next one, and you just keep trying the next one and the next one until you find what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So once you found, I'm really digging in here because I think that this is really important for people to hear about if they are creating a product and they need to work in partnership with another manufacturer. So once you found the one that said, yes, I think we can do it. I presume that's what they said.
Yes.
You finally,
I found it. Yes.
You found someone who said yes.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Was it easy going from that point?
So, again, we had a few prototypes. It was a lot of back and forth. And the beginning of the production, the product development, was probably a 2-year time frame.
2 years.
So now, with that being said, I don't think necessarily everybody would have that long of a time period.
But
I'm just
still,
speaking
it's
personally.
Good to know that's what it took.
Personally, it was a 2-year process from the time that I sat down with them and said, okay, this is what I'm looking for, this is my goal, this is kind of what I've envisioned as far as a product is concerned, to it actually being delivered to me as a finished product. It was a 2-year span.
Wow. So what did your son use in the meantime?
His pants, the inside of his case. Yeah. So.
Was he happy once he got
He
to use
was.
it?
He was. And it's funny, we purposely created it so it attaches to the kit itself. And now that it's part of the kit and part of his routine, it's almost just an automatic that he uses it now.
Oh, wow.
So.
Wow. So let's take the next step. You have the manufacturer, you got the product. What happened then?
So then I didn't want to launch the website until I had the product to sell. So I kind of waited till I had the timeline of when I was going to have the product in hand, and then I started with our website to launch the website. Ultimately, what we'd like to do is have it on the shelves of some, big box pharmacies. We would like to get it in some of the medical supply companies that produce a lot of the diabetes supplies, but I also knew I needed a venue right off the bat, just in case somebody saw, as I was promoting the product or trying to get the word out, I wanted to have a venue, and I know that, of course, in today's world with online, so we launched the website, and then from there we utilized other platforms, whether it be Amazon, eBay, some online sites, and it's just kind of been a work in progress, both on the internet side of it as well as brick and mortar side.
Wow. So how long has it been out?
So it was 3 years in September.
Wow.
So it's a little over 3 years. And we've been making some good traction. We're very optimistic. I think one of our biggest takeaways is that the people that use it, we have a high repeat customer base, which of course to us says they like the product. There's a need for the product. They're using the product. So that's very encouraging for us.
That's great. So right now, people are getting it. How do they find out about it?
So online, there's, like I said, we are in quite a few online stores. We're on a few local, actually we're in Whole Foods in Wellesley, Mass, but we're also in some brick and mortars or in Nebraska stores, and down south in some pharmacy stores down there as well, and then online. And what we're trying to do is, being a new product in the marketplace, that's another kind of challenge that you're faced with, because it's not only is it a new a new brand per se, it's a new product. It's a completely new product in the healthcare space. So what we're trying to do is utilize all the different venues as far as social media is concerned. Of course, the greatest compliment is the word of mouth in the diabetes, within the diabetes community, but we're just trying a whole lot of different avenues to spread the word.
Yeah. So have you also, I presume you've been connecting with people who teach about diabetes and doing educational?
We have, and we do a lot with camps. The camps is a great venue. Keep in mind that the camps are a lot geared towards the type 1 and the children side of it, because what they're trying to do is try to educate the children that have been diagnosed or live with diabetes, kind of the proper methods of testing and things of that nature. So that is a great avenue for us to pursue because it incorporates the DABs. But in addition to that, it's also for type 2. It's not just a type 1 product. It's anybody that lives with diabetes, and because anybody that lives with diabetes typically has to test their blood sugars.
Oh, what a great feeling it must be to be able to provide something that is of use and benefit to so many people.
It is. It's very, it makes you feel good. You hope that you're providing value to a community that you're very passionate about. I'm very passionate about the diabetes community. So it's nice to hear when someone says to me, oh my God, yeah, we love your product, or, it certainly helps. And we do donate a portion of our proceeds to diabetes research. So it kind of goes hand in hand. The more the product grows and the more people buy the product, the more we can give back. So it's been a terrific journey so far.
That's great. That's great. So what fires you up the most about it?
I'm going to go back to the diabetes community. I think when you see we were very unexposed to diabetes prior to my son's diagnosis. So when you see what it looks like to live with a chronic disease day in and day out, and you think that, the resolve that these people have, and I think you become very passionate. It's like, what can I do to make their life a little bit better? Or what can I do to impact it for the better? And I think that's where my passion comes from.
So what would feel like success to you?
I think from a business standpoint, success would be that DABs would be a household name, that it would just kind of be a permanent component of the testing routine. The way that I structured the patent, our goal, our long-term vision for the company is actually to also expand outside of the healthcare space and use DABs for other purposes outside of diabetes to kind of grow the DABs from that as well and make it a household name. I think from a personal level of success, if I can look in the mirror and think to myself, well, I've done something to help somebody or improve somebody's lives, that to me is more of a success story.
That is?
To be able to help other people and just make a difference or an impact.
So you already feel like you are successful?
I think I do. I think I'd like to become more successful in that regard. I want to, I think that it's kind of our role as humans to help other humans, and I think that really gives you that sense of satisfaction and success. So do I want to keep going and getting bigger and bigger so I can have a greater feeling of success? Sure, but yes, I mean, it's nice to hear that I've made an impact as of now, but I certainly want to make a larger impact.
Yes, that's great. So you are a mom as well.
I am.
And how many children do you have?
I have 4 boys.
So how does starting building and growing a business fit in with being a parent for you?
I'm blessed with a great family, and I think that, and a great circle of friends, and I think that you have to learn to ask for help a lot. And if you surround yourself with the people that are willing to help you and support you, kind of all those pieces fall in place. But it's certainly a lot, and that's, I don't think you realize, I think you get super excited and you get super passionate about something and you're just, you're gung-ho, and then all of a sudden you get super busy. I mean, and having a business takes a lot, and it's a lot of time, and you have to just learn to kind of sometimes put things in perspective and learn a balance. I don't know if balance is the right word, because I don't know if you ever become truly balanced per se, but I think that you just learn to manage your time and you just use the resources that you're surrounded by.
So if another mom was thinking of going into business, what advice would you give her
I would say go for it. Absolutely go for it, because it's a great, I mean, it's a constant learning curve, and definitely go for it, but know that it's very time consuming. It takes up a lot of your, all good. I mean, you have your good and your bad always. However, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Share with us one of your low moments.
Well, I think that you probably have a lot of low moments in business because there's a lot of rejection in business. I think that you have to have the mindset going in that, of course, that's just the nature of the beast. I mean, you're going into, and especially in my situation where it's a product base, and with any businesses, they're going to face rejection, but especially when you're calling on a particular product, you get a lot of no's, or it's not going to be in our pipeline. And so I think that it's easy to get discouraged, but what I try to do is take a step back once in a while. And I remember reading somewhere that when you get discouraged, you know, I think that we're so focused sometimes on like the big picture or like your long-term vision, and you want your business to explode, and maybe it's not building as quickly as you anticipated, and that could be very well just the reality. Sometimes you get super excited and think it's just going to take off, and then reality sets in with any business. It's, you know, it's time and consistency. But to sometimes take a step back and focus on the accomplishments you've already created and the goals you've already accomplished, and try to focus in on the positive, and then that kind of gears you back up and energizes you to keep moving forward when you're discouraged.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have any like regular daily routines or practices that kind of help build that sense of optimism in?
Well, I'm a big advocate of reading. I think that whether it's reading for an educational standpoint as far as business is concerning, learning the ins and outs, but I also find from a motivational standpoint, I like to read nonfiction books that are, you know, correlate to, for an entrepreneur, for example, like the CEO, Jessica Heron, who created the Stella and Dot brands, and she, you know, create your extraordinary, and that's a great book as far as to kind of keep you motivated, and you read about successful people in your space. That helps me stay motivated.
So that book is called?
Find Your Extraordinary.
Find Your Extraordinary by
Jessica Heron.
Okay,
who is
we'll
the
put that
CEO,
in the show notes.
Yep, which is the CEO of the Stella and Dots, and it's a great read. It's an easy read. It's a motivational read. So I think sometimes if you're kind of in a slump, a book like that to me helps. Exercise certainly helps. I think that it not only gives you more energy from a physical, I think it's really good for your mind as far as it's kind of an outlet, and it kind of clears your mind and gives you new thoughts and ideas. And I try to incorporate those both daily. And I think that helps.
Yeah, yeah. Any other great books that you recommend?
I think a great book as a resource if you're starting a new business is Start Living the American Dream by Mike Bucci. And it's a really great book as far as a step-by-step of how to start a business or what type of business, you know, whether it's a corporation, an LLC. It's a great resource as far as the beginning steps of starting your business. So I highly recommend that as somebody's thinking about taking an idea and trying to create a product or even just start a business as a whole.
That's fantastic. So how much of this business do you do all on your own? Like how much do you get help with?
So I like to tell people that, so in a previous life, I was a financial advisor. So, you know, when you're a financial advisor, your role is dedicated to finance. But when you start your business, you have all the different hats, right? So you got the finance hat, you got the marketing hat, you got the inventory hat, you got the administrative hat. So you kind of wear them all. You have to learn all these different roles, which is very exciting, but also can be very overwhelming sometimes. But we also contract 2 individual sales reps from a sales perspective, and outside of the sales rep, I pretty much do everything.
Wow. Wow, that's a lot. So you are not doing the calls right now to get the product out. You've got someone doing that
both, but you're always doing calls to get the product out. So I do have the reps that are out there, and they're promoting the product and trying to get on the shelves also, but I certainly designate portions of my day to make calls.
So what is next in the business for you?
The goal is, as I kind of alluded to earlier, is expanding it outside of the healthcare space. I want to get to a certain threshold with the diabetic side of it and the diabetes community, but once I've kind of really got solid ground in that area, I would like to expand it to other applications outside of the healthcare.
You want to give us a hint of what those might be?
Well, it could be just general uses. Like as I mentioned, the product itself is stackable absorbent sheets that are designed to fit into the testing kit, but they could come in various sizes and shapes. So I think that there would be multiple other applications, and I would like to kind of pursue those avenues when the time comes. Mm-hmm. A larger product line per se.
Mm-hmm. And now, if you were going to look back on how it all happened, is there anything that you would have done a little differently? With the wisdom of hindsight? Because you've been in this for more than 5 years.
Well, from the beginning.
From the beginning.
You got it, yes. So, no, people ask me that quite a bit, and I think that, of course, hindsight's 20/20, and if I could have gone back and saved, like some of my big mistakes cost a lot of money. So like in hindsight, like, oh, it would have been nice if what I knew now, if I knew then. But with that being said, not really, because it's all a learning curve, and I think that, all those mistakes along the way, or those learning lessons that I have had with the business, has kind of formulated who I am today. So I think it's good that everybody kind of goes through all those different hurdles and successes for that matter. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, that's why I am who I am today, and I don't think that I would probably go back and change anything, no.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite part of the business?
People.
Really?
I do. I love people. I love talking to people. I love making connections. And I think that, you meet a lot of amazing people. And I don't think that if I didn't kind of pursue this opportunity or this journey, there's a lot of people that I've met along the way that I wouldn't have. So I love the connection side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it seems like, usually we would think of having our child diagnosed with diabetes being pretty intense. Mm-hmm. Change, of course, in our life. It really changes the whole routine of our lives and what you have to pay attention to. Like how did you feel? Do you feel like that changed aside from building this product, did it have other impact on your life?
Sure.
That you feel, this had a silver lining?
I do. Of course, I wish,
we
could eradicate diabetes as a whole, and we didn't have to deal with this. But I think that that's, this is our life, and this is the hand that we were dealt. And I think that it makes you stronger. I think you find your strength when you go through something that is, adversity based. And you, especially as a parent, my role as a parent was like, it was very important to me to instill in my son that like, you can't let this beat you. Like this isn't going to define you, and you can't let this take, like you're bigger than that, or great. I don't know if bigger is the right word, but just, to kind of be courageous. You have to teach them that resolve or that strength. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's, including myself as a parent, you find your strength, right? So I guess the silver lining is strength-based, or your perspective on life. I think that you really realize how important health is, and not to take it for granted, and that you completely want to instill that to other people, and to really just live life and enjoy it and stay strong. And I always like to use the term, you don't want to be the victim ever, be the victor. And I tried to instill that to my son, like you can continue to do it, and a lot of it's mindset. Mm-hmm.
Very inspiring.
Well, thank you.
Speaking of inspiration, I like to have my guests pick a wild card.
Okay.
That is some attribute that you can riff on, and however it means to you personally or in your business.
All right. Boldness. So I think that boldness is probably going to translate through business and personal, much like with the opportunity as far as starting a business. You have to be bold and take that step, and I think that holds true in life in general. You want to be bold and move forward and not be afraid. I think that there's going to be so many chances in this world that you can either be bold and jump or shy away from it, and I think that you always want to take boldness. Always.
So in your business, same
I would say
lesson?
it's the same. This would be the same lesson. You know, you just have to. You got to go out there and you have to pursue and you have to keep marching forward and be bold, and I certainly think that holds true with business.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's been such a pleasure having you on, and I wish you all the luck in having your vision be manifest.
Thank you.
And having it grow and help and serve so many people who it would make their lives that much more pleasant and easier.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for having me as a guest. It's been a joy.
Great. Thanks for tuning into Women Inspired, and be sure to catch the next episode.
Boom,